Don't attract attention. Why good priests will not lead. For decades, the mantra among good priests has been, don't attract attention. Whether or not one agrees with such a mentality in general, here's a quick snapshot of why one might adopt such a position, lifted from events of just the past few months. Priest rejects mask mandate. FSSP muzzles him. Priest denounces Democratic platform and church corruption. Bishop rebukes him and threatens sanctions. Priest warns against BLM communists. Bishop suspends him. Priest denounces church corruption. Bishop suspends him. Priests fostering the above kind of division are regarded as so dangerous by their superiors that they must be silenced immediately. Dissent will not be tolerated. Dissent from liberalism, that is. Public dissent from Catholic faith and morals, however, the kind on display among pro-abort Catholic politicians and nearly every nominally Catholic institution in this country, will get a free pass. This is why the single greatest roadblock to the Church's earthly flourishing is not a low Catholic birth rate, a toxic Western culture, or even the ascendant Masonic health technocracy of our time. It's the bishops. This is also why, at this point, many have given up any earthly hope that there will be a resurrection of apostolic zeal in the Catholic episcopate during our lifetime. Is this a reasonable position? It seems so. Even leaving aside the continuing waterfall of corruption, heresy, and scandal that bishops remain engaged in or silent about. Complicity in both cases. The clearest proof for such a position remains that worship of idols that occurred in the Vatican gardens last October, that is, the worship of Pachamama, when not one bishop could be found on earth to denounce that horror with public outrage, much less take corrective action. So at this point, hoping for the emergence of a zealous Catholic episcopate seems like hoping in a dead Lazarus to emerge from the tomb, but without Christ's assurance that it will be so. This is why many layfolk have shifted their summons to righteousness to the ranks of priests, particularly those of traditional commitment. It seems certain that there will be no resurrection of the apostolic spirit in the hierarchy until an organized priest-led resistance finds a voice. The dynamic is exactly backwards, of course. Priests acting justly and then exhorting their own superiors is not how it is supposed to work. But then, the Church's earthly aspect is in an unprecedentedly disordered state at the moment. I would call it diabolical disorientation. Priests. The tactic of keeping quiet and waiting for baddies to retire, apart from being an insult to our Lord and a scandal to the little ones, will not serve much longer in the face of the globalists' new gods, who have grown very hungry of late. More hammers are coming, and clerical platitudes about the Lord sorting it out would seem to betray a deeply ahistorical pietism, spiritualism, and quietism unworthy of the dignity of the ordained. Should we cease praying that our Lord's kingdom come on earth? Should Christ and Holy Mother Church be left unguarded by force of arms, contrary to the practice of so many prior centuries? Would you rather us seek only an interior enlightenment, the virtual solace of a conquered people? In any event, our operating assumption at Whispers of Restoration is that cancel church will reign supreme until priests will openly say and do otherwise, charitably refusing the unjust direction of superiors as needed and summoning them to right action instead. The episcopal knife in the back that may result will be no martyrdom, but it may at least serve to surgically remove from priests any craven human respect and demonstrate that they have chests. He's referring to C.S. Lewis's book, The Abolition of Man, wherein he refers to modern man as men without chests. This reminds me of T.S. Eliot's poem, The Hollow Men. The hollow men, heads filled with straw. Yes, this is the age of the hollow men without chests. Back to the essay. More importantly, it will repair the many dishonors made to His Majesty, lately treated by most Catholics as our non-essential, live-streamable sacrifice, while thousands of evangelical Protestants put us to shame by publicly defying state worship bans in California. Still, practically speaking, layfolk oughtn't set their hopes on such dutiful goodness from their priests. If church history is any indicator, there will be no public clerical resistance to the dominant state and its compliant bishops, soon to assert still more control over our lives and the worship of God. No, it will likely take several years of violent suppression of the faithful before anything like a church militant will be found among the ranks of the clergy again. Meanwhile, the laity must pray for the grace to serve manfully and be equal to the coming task. For if our priests will not shoulder the plow, it falls to us. Organize and assemble. Act with conviction. Doing nothing to defend the sacred runs the grave risk today that there will be nothing to defend tomorrow, while we look with longing to our true homeland, taking strength above all from unseen allies. If we would hold the Church's social doctrine, we should also hold it up with our actions. If you are a layperson old enough to read this, be advised. If you love Christ and His bride, if you seek the honor and glory of God in the public sphere, you will have no recourse in civil or canonical law in the continuing storm. Pray and prepare as such. Find each other. Help each other. We have miles to go before we sleep. There he's referencing the final two lines of Robert Frost's poem, Miles to Go Before I Sleep, where the speaker says, "But I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." Yes, friends, we have many miles yet to trod in this post-conciliar wasteland. Notice the madness, the complete madness that has been unleashed upon the world since the Judas Council, otherwise known as the Second Vatican Council, ending in 1965. For example, the unbridled madness of today's reigning Covidian cult. Indeed, as the church goes, so goes the world. Put on the armor of light. Renounce the works of darkness, my friends.